Amaka Okoye stepped out of her sleek black Range Rover onto the polished marble driveway of her Mayfair townhouse, sunlight glinting off the designer shades perched on her nose. She paused for a moment to take it all in: pristine flower beds, the wrought iron gates embossed with an interlocking AO, and the valet, ever dutiful, opening the car door. It was hard to believe that just 10 years ago she was juggling tuition fees and textbooks in a cramped Lagos dorm room. Now, she ruled the London fashion circuit with an iron will wrapped in silk and cashmere. A cluster of paparazzi cameras flashed as she ascended the front steps. Amaka held her head high, dark skin radiant in a custom emerald green Alexander McQueen sheath that hugged every curve. Her phone buzzed with social media notifications: 10,000 new followers, yacht party pics trending, London Queen trending worldwide. She tapped out a quick response to a DM from Vogue's editor-in-chief, confirming an exclusive feature on her boutique, Amaka by AO. Inside the foyer, a butler in evening livery greeted her with a curt nod. "Good afternoon, madam." "Afternoon, Ade," she replied, slipping off her stilettos. She placed them with elegant deliberation on a mirrored shoe rack by the door. "Show me the numbers for this quarter's sales." Ade led her to a glass-walled study where a large monitor displayed real-time analytics, sales by region, best-selling items, Instagram engagement spikes. Amaka tapped a few keys, eyes flicking between data points. The Lagos-inspired Ankara jackets sold out within hours, she observed, raising an eyebrow. "We need another drop, volume is strong but margins are razor-thin." Her London home was a shrine to her success, walls lined with framed magazine covers bearing her stylish grin, a gallery of Polaroids showing runways in Milan, New York, and Paris. And yet, despite the glamour, Amaka's mind drifted back to Lagos, dusty streets, the frenetic energy of Balogun Market, her mother's laughter echoing through their modest compound. She missed home in a way she rarely admitted: the heat on her skin, the scent of jollof rice on a Sunday afternoon. A chime sounded on her phone, an incoming WhatsApp video call. She swiped to answer. On screen appeared her childhood friend, Bezi, framed by the warm glow of a table lamp in Lagos. Bezi's dark skin looked as smooth as polished ebony beneath the low light, her bouncy braids framed a face Amaka recognized in an instant, though lines of worry tugged at Bezi's eyes. "Amaka! Finally!" Bezi exclaimed, voice trembling between excitement and something else, an undercurrent Amaka couldn't quite place. "Bezi," Amaka smiled, leaning closer. "It's been too long. How are you?" Bezi's smile faltered. She glanced off screen as if checking for an escape route. I'm fine. Well, you know, busy managing things here." She swallowed hard. "Listen, I've been thinking a lot about you." Amaka's heart fluttered. "Is everything okay?" Bezi clasped her hands together. "I miss you. Lagos isn't the same without my London queen. Promise you'll come by soon?" Amaka forced a laugh, but inside, her pulse quickened. The invitation felt both warm and laced with testiness. "Of course. Next time I'm back in town, we'll do brunch at that spot you love." Bezi's lips twitched. "I hope so." The call ended abruptly. Amaka stared at the black screen, sensing a question unasked, a challenge dangling between them. That night, as she stood before her vanity applying a light stroke of lipstick, she caught her reflection, radiant, unmissable, but haunted by an ache she didn't fully understand. Tomorrow, she promised herself, she would call home, and maybe, just maybe, find out why her return was tinged with such uncertainty. The next morning, Amaka began her day with espresso on the terrace overlooking Hyde Park. But her mind wasn't on London's skyline, it was on that fleeting glance in Bezi's eyes. What had she meant by busy managing things? Was this simply longing for a friend's company, or something more complicated? She dialed her mother first, an easy call, filled with laughter and warmth. "Mama, I miss you." "Amaka, my daughter," her mother's voice rang with pride. "Why haven't you come home?" "Your father says he's dying to see his London queen." "I will, Mama," Amaka soothed. "Just wrapping up some business here." Business, her mother teased. Just don't stay away too long. Your friends will forget you. Amaka smiled. Never, Mama. I could never forget. She hung up, but a pang of guilt lingered. She had not been home since her boutique's grand opening, and even that had been the digital launch, a Zoom affair. Next, she messaged Tolu, another childhood friend, "Hey pal. How's life treating you?" His reply came almost instantly, "Fine Shaw." Lagos is Lagos. No invitation, just a shrug in text form. Amaka tapped out a digital shrug emoji and scrolled through photos of Tolu's new Tesla and his wife's designer heels. Curious. Then, her phone pinged with a message from BZ, "Call me when you can. It's important." Her pulse quickened. She pressed call. On screen, BZ's cramped apartment, peeling paint on the walls, a single bulb casting shadows. BZ looked exhausted, her usual vivacious energy dampened. "BZ, what's going on?" Amaka asked gently. BZ shifted uncomfortably. "Remember how I said our crew got busy?" Amaka nodded, leaning in. Well, BZ paused, taking a breath as if bracing for impact. "Some of the girls back home have changed." "Changed how?" Amaka probed, concern weaving through her voice. "Let's just say, they're no longer, our humble selves. Some of them got into things that aren't exactly clean." BZ's eyes flicked away. "I don't want to name names, but there's money, influence, things happening." Amaka's brow furrowed. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." BZ forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I just miss the old days. The girls we used to be. Sometimes I wonder, if you came back, would any of us still be friends?" Amaka's chest tightened. The subtext was clear. BZ feared Amaka's return might expose their compromises, or worse, that they only valued her glamour and wealth. "BZ," Amaka said softly, "they're my friends. I'll come home and find out together." BZ's lips quivered. "Promise you won't judge?" "I promise." They hung up, and Amaka sat frozen, her mind racing. She felt a thrill, equal parts fear and determination. She had built an empire, yes, but the heart of home lay in the bonds she had left behind. And she would test their authenticity, no matter the cost. That afternoon, Amaka made a decision that surprised even her own board of directors. She would sell Amaka by AO. She penned an email to her partners. "Dear team, after much thought, I've decided to step back from our London operations. I will be returning to Nigeria indefinitely to focus on new ventures at home. I have authorized the sale of my shares and assets associated with the brand. Thank you for your unwavering support. Warmly, Amaka." Within hours, the boutique stores closed behind a sold sign, her Instagram transformed from a glossy showcase of designer life to a blank slate. She donated most of her belongings, clothes, jewelry, even her Range Rover. With the proceeds, she established a scholarship fund for underprivileged girls in Lagos. But secretly, she kept a small backpack, a laptop loaded with basic files, a few sets of clothes, and enough cash for emergencies. This was the only trace of her former life she would carry back. Most of her identity she was determined to bury. She booked a one-way flight to Lagos. The night before departure, Amaka sat in silence in her empty apartment, the echoes of high heels on marble replaced by only her breathing. She stared at her passport photo, sophisticated, confident, the face of accomplishment. Tomorrow, she vowed, everyone would see someone else, Amaka the underdog. On the plane, she sketched rough plans for her experiment. She would return as Chinyu, a common name among the girls she grew up with, and see who would welcome her with open arms and who would side-eye the newcomer with suspicion. She imagined the looks on BZ's face, on Tolu's, on the rest of the crew. Would they even recognize her? She read a self-help book about authenticity, how people reveal their true selves when the facade falls away. She smiled grimly. She was about to conduct the ultimate authenticity test on those she once held dear. On a humid Lagos afternoon, Amaka stepped off the rickety Ekro bus in Oshodi, clutching her single suitcase marked fragile. Gone were the tailored suits and manicured nails. Instead, she wore a simple cotton dress, her hair pulled into a low bun, no makeup to mask the exhaustion of a long flight. She hailed a Kiki Napep, three-wheeled taxi, which rattled and bumped through traffic as billboards for the latest Nollywood flicks loomed overhead. Children ran barefoot on sidewalks, hawkers peddled akara and suya from plastic trays, and the air smelled of exhaust and fried plantains. It all felt achingly familiar and yet shockingly foreign. Her phone buzzed, a WhatsApp location from BZ. The pin read Abimbala Street, Suralere. Amaka paid the driver, hopped out, and inhaled the energy of her hometown, chaotic, vibrant, alive. BZ was waiting by a rusted gate, arms crossed, in a faded t-shirt and jeans. Her former vivacity seemed dampened by worry lines. As Amaka approached, BZ's eyes widened. "Chinyu? Is that really you?" she stammered. Amaka laughed softly. "Hey, B. It's me." BZ blinked. "I mean, you look different." "Good different?" Amaka teased, smoothing the fabric of her dress. BZ hesitated, glancing at Amaka's suitcase and plain shoes. "Sure, good, I guess." She shifted uneasily. "Come in." Inside the modest two-bedroom flat, BZ's mother bustled about, wiping sweat-slick foreheads with a wrapper. She offered Amaka a cup of cold water and a bag of gari and groundnut. Amaka drank gratefully, her throat parched. "How was the trip?" BZ asked as they sat on a fraying sofa. Long. Amaka set the glass down. "But I'm home." BZ swallowed. "Right, home." She cleared her throat. "Listen, there's something I should show you." Amaka leaned forward. "What is it?" BZ shot her a sidelong glance. "Remember I said some of the girls have changed?" Amaka nodded. "You did. Well, they want to meet you." BZ's voice dropped. "But not as you." She exhaled. "They think you'll be disappointed." Amaka frowned. "Disappointed in what?" BZ looked pained. "That you sold your business. That you came back with nothing. They think you just want charity." Amaka's chest tightened. "So they don't trust me?" BZ's eyes filled. "I don't know. They miss you, but they're scared." Amaka's lips curved into a subtle smile. "Then I'll show them who I am, no matter what I have in my pocket." Over the next few days, Amaka reconnected with her old circle one by one. She approached each reunion as Chinyu, modest, nervous, grateful for any kindness. At Ayabo's salon, she asked to borrow a chair for an hour's sell of homemade jams. Ayabo's eyes shimmered with recognition, then confusion. "But you're London Queen," Ayabo whispered, carefully kneading a customer's hair. "What happened?" Chinyu shrugged. "Got tired of it all." Ayabo's smile was tight. "If you ever need anything," she trailed off, sliding a small plastic container of jaggery jam across the counter. "On the house." "Thank you." Chinyu's voice wobbled. Inside, Amaka felt a pang. Would true friends offer more than pity? Next, she visited Tolu at his new bar in Ikoyi. He greeted her with a bear hug that lingered too long. "Long time, sis." His breath smelled of alcohol and ambition. Chinyu ordered water. Tolu frowned. "No longer on the VIP list?" "You know, just here to catch up." She sipped. Tolu's laughter reverberated off neon lights. "Chinyu, you've always been the drama queen." He patted her back. "If you ever need a gig, a styling gig, I got you." His tone was casual, but the offer felt transactional, as if she were a brand ambassador rather than a lifelong friend. Amaka forced a grin. "I'll keep it in mind." But the true blow came when she arranged a friend's reunion at Beezy's apartment, a modest affair with jollof rice and roasted chicken laid out on mismatched plates. She texted everyone, "Come as you are. Just want to see your faces." Only 3 showed up, Beezy, Ayabo, and Tolu. The rest sent excuses, traffic, work deadlines, out of town. No one called to apologize. As Amaka sliced the chicken, she caught Beezy's frantic eyes. "I'm sorry," Beezy mouthed. Amaka shook her head. "It's fine." In the silence that followed, the 3 of them sat on the floor, eating rice with their hands. Amaka glanced at her watch. 7:45 p.m. She swallowed hard. "I need to pay my respects at Grandma's." Beezy jumped up. "I'll drive you." They tumbled into Beezy's old Toyota Camry and shot through highways lined with neon billboards. At Grandma Chinyer's house, a small bungalow surrounded by tropical shrubs, Amaka kneeled to greet the woman who had once cared for her like her own child. Grandma embraced her fiercely. "My London baby," she crooned. "You look tired, child." Grandma's eyes glittered with concern. "Why you back?" Amaka's throat tightened. "I wanted to see home again. I wanted to see real faces." Grandma patted her hand. "You're brave, Amaka. But be careful, some people wear masks that look like friends." Amaka nodded, tears prickling. Outside, Beezy and Ayabo lingered by the gate, talking in hushed tones. Amaka caught snippets. "She's changed, not sure if it's the same girl, she's testing us." The words stung, but Amaka allowed herself a small, victorious smile. The test had begun, and the first sign was clear, the fear in their eyes was louder than any welcome. As she climbed into the car to head back, the Lagos night pulsing around her, Amaka realized that this journey would demand more than courage, it would demand ruthless honesty, both from herself and from those she once called friends. And she was ready. The invitation had arrived on WhatsApp as a simple text over a week ago. Group chat, Lagos Ladies Reunion. Chinyu, Beezy, Ayabo, Tolu, Saad, Kemi. Beezy, "Hey everyone. I'm hosting a little get-together at my place this Saturday. Nothing fancy, just old friends catching up. Please come." Smiling face with smiling eyes. Amaka, still Chinyu to them, stared at the message for a long moment late Friday night. Her heart fluttered. This was it, the first real test of whether the old crew would welcome her broke returnee self. She typed an enthusiastic reply. "Chinyu, I'm there. Can't wait to see all of you." Saturday afternoon dawned humid and overcast. Amaka dressed in a simple Ankara print skirt and a plain white blouse, her hair in natural curls piled loosely atop her head. No makeup, just her skin's deep ebony glow, which had earned her a suggestion from a beauty blogger once, "Use your bare face as a statement piece." Today, it was her armor. She arrived at Beezy's flat first. Inside, Beezy bustled about, flattening cushions, straightening framed selfies on the wall, reheating jollof rice in the microwave. A muted pop soul playlist hummed through the speakers. As each guest trickled in, Amaka's pulse pounded. First came Ayabo, her salon-smothered glow replaced by bleached streaks in her braids and 3-inch acrylic nails, an image at war with her usual understated elegance. Ayabo gave Chinyu a perfunctory hug. "Hey, girl," she said, voice clipped. "Good to see you back." Chinyu smiled wide. "I missed you." Ayabo nodded and turned to examine her own nails in a compact mirror. MHM. Next, Tolu swaggered in, phone glued to his ear. He gave Chinyu a glance of recognition, then a polite nod. He raised his hand in a half-wave. "Yo," he said, then gestured her to slide over so he could make room for a new arrival. Saad floated in wearing faux fur and stilettos, apparently fresh from a nightclub. She squealed when she saw Beezy and ignored Chinyu entirely, squeaking, "Beezy, darling, your place looks so rustic." Chinyu forced a laugh as Saad flounced past and plopped onto the sofa with Kemi, who was checking her stocks app on her tablet. Kemi glanced up, shrugged, then returned to her charts. Amaka felt the sting of exclusion but reminded herself, observe first, react later. She accepted Beezy's offered seat at the end of the table and picked up a small paper plate. This jollof is amazing, she praised, swallowing a mouthful. Beezy shot her a sympathetic look. It's my aunt's recipe. Thought you'd like it. Chinyu nodded. It's perfect. A lull fell. Tolu tapped out a text mid-conversation, eyes never meeting Chinyu's. Ayabo checked her reflection. Saad and Kemi compared notes on their latest hustles. No one asked about Chinyu's London life, no one inquired how she had been, what she had done. It was as if she were a background prop, tolerated but not prized. Finally, Beezy cleared her throat. So, Chinyu, you must have stories from London? Chinyu picked at her rice. Stories. Ayabo brightened, leaning forward. Tell us about your boutique, the designers you met. Chinyu paused. She could share glamorous tales of fashion weeks, champagne receptions, star-studded clients. But that would betray her vow. Instead, she shook her head. I sold the boutique. Forgot to mention. Blank faces stared back. Tolu snorted. You sold it, just like that? Yeah. Moved on. Chinyu sipped her water. Wanted to pursue something new. Kemi raised an eyebrow. Oh. Like what? Some NGO stuff? Chinyu folded her hands. Something like that. The group exchanged looks. Beezy gently changed the subject, asking Saad about her new man, then Ayabo about hair trends. But Chinyu felt the equal parts relief and rejection tangle in her chest. They wanted London Queen stories, but they didn't want her as she was now, only as a source of gossip or glam. When the gathering broke up 2 hours later, each friend had an excuse for leaving early. Kemi had a webinar, Saad a spa appointment, Tolu a business meeting, Ayabo a client waiting. Beezy lingered beside Chinyu at the elevator. I'm sorry, Beezy whispered. I don't know why they're like this. Chinyu forced a smile. It's okay. I get it. Beezy hugged her. You tried. That's what matters. Chinyu nodded, stepping into the elevator. As the doors slid shut, she caught her own reflection in the polished steel, a lone figure in a vibrant Ankara skirt, surrounded by echoes of indifference. The test had begun, and already, many hearts had failed it. Despite the lukewarm reception, Amaka, still Chinyu, refused to give up. She needed one small victory, a friend who would see her as more than a socialite or a charity case. She zeroed in on Tolu, whose bar in Ikoyi was humming every night, glitzy lights and P-Square blasting from the speakers. She figured if anyone owed her a favor, it was him. They'd been classmates in secondary school, and he'd once confided his dreams over bowls of ibe and agbono soup. On Thursday afternoon, she texted. Chinyu, hey Tolu, are you around tomorrow morning? Need to pick your brain about something. Coffee on me? He replied almost immediately. Tolu, coffee? Sure. 10 a.m. at the Fix. The Fix was a trendy cafe overlooking the lagoon, not cheap, but not beyond her means. Saturday she arrived early, photograph of herself from 10 years ago still lingering in his mind. When Tolu appeared, dressed in a crisp shirt and chinos, he gave her a curt nod. Morning, he said, sliding into the booth opposite. Morning, she returned, perching on the edge of her seat. He waited, stirring his cappuccino. Finally, so, what's up? She swallowed. I'm trying to restart a small business here, selling handcrafted handbags. I wanted your advice on marketing. Tolu raised an eyebrow. Handbags? You mean, Ankara? She nodded. Exactly. Affordable, stylish, sustainable. But I need a small loan to make initial orders. I was hoping, given our history, you might. He cut her off with a laugh so sharp it clinked like broken glass. A loan? From me? Did I miss something? Last I checked, you were rolling in pounds. Her cheeks flamed. I sold the boutique. He snorted again. Of course you did. You probably used the money to live it up in Italy or something. She drew in a breath, summoning calm. Actually, I sold it to fund this project, right here in Lagos. I want to give back. Tolu's lip curled. Give back? You mean, use our market for your pet project? He tapped his phone. Look, if you need startup cash, why not go to the bank? Her heart pounded so loud she feared he'd hear it. Banks want collateral I don't have, she pressed gently. You and I, we go way back. I thought. He picked up his mug and drained the cappuccino. I thought you'd come asking for money. That's the only thing you're good at. The words slashed her like a machete. She stood abruptly, chair screeching across the floor. Thank you for your time, Tolu. He leaned back, eyebrows arching. Good luck with your little bag project, Chinyu. She didn't wait for a response. Outside, the Lagos sun wrapped her in heat and humiliation. But anger sharpened her resolve. If people saw only what they expected, she would sue her own talents. She would build from the ground up, without Tolu, without anyone, but she would rise. Over the next week, Amaka moved in silence. By day she visited local markets, Alaba, Balagan, seeking artisans to sew her first batch of thrift-revived handbags. By night, she drafted social media posts under the pseudonym NaijaRoots, hinting at tradition and modern style. She pitched local boutiques, offering samples. Sales trickled in. She messaged Beezy to arrange a small pop-up at her aunt's cafe. Beezy hesitated but agreed. On the day, Amaka arrived early, clutching 10 vibrant patchwork bags. She arranged them on a rustic table outside the cafe entrance. Hours passed. Curious passers-by peeked, some asked questions, but none bought. Beezy's aunt offered warm water and pastries but no customer referrals. At noon, Beezy appeared, phone in hand. Got a meeting, Beezy sighed. I'll check in later. She waved goodbye and walked off. An hour later, Amaka opened Instagram. Followers had liked and commented on her vintage photos of Lagos. But none of her real-life friends had bothered to post or share her pop-up location. It was as though she were invisible. By evening, she counted 2 actual sales, one from a university student, one from a visiting tourist. She packed up, weaving through sunset traffic back to Grandma Chinyer's house, heart heavy but mind racing with possibilities. If they wouldn't lift a finger to support her, she'd build her own network. That night, she lay awake listening to distant traffic horns and the hum of generators. The loneliness cut deep, but resolve glowed brighter. She whispered into the darkness, "You wanted authenticity, Amaka. Here's real life." A week later, Amaka accepted an invitation from a mutual contact to exhibit at a small creative fair in Lekki. She arrived before dawn to secure a prime spot on a busy walkway. By midday, her table, overflowing with each bag's unique story, drew genuine interest. She chatted with customers for hours, laughing, explaining how each piece carried the soul of her homeland. Sales soared. Flushed with excitement, she checked Instagram live streams from Beezy's birthday bash at a rooftop lounge. She tapped on one clip, her old friends, draped in designer labels, clinked champagne flutes. The hostess toasted, to old times, and new beginnings. Laughter erupted. None of them mentioned NaijaRoots or her fair. They didn't know it was her. Then a story popped up on TikTok, a 2-second clip of Beezy giggling into her phone camera. She showed off her new Gucci bag inside. Wish Chinyu was here to see this. Her friends tittered. Amaka's lips trembled. She paused the video. They missed her, in memory only as Chinyu the dreamer, never as who she had become, Amaka the maker, the entrepreneur who had built again from nothing. Late that evening, she called Beezy. Beezy answered groggily. Hey! Happy birthday, Amaka said softly. Thanks. Beezy yawned. Listen, I should let you rest. Big day tomorrow. You didn't mention my pop-up, Amaka ventured. Beezy went silent. I didn't see it. Amaka closed her eyes. That's okay. But it wasn't. She realized her old friends had no real interest in her life, only in the highlights they remembered. She had become a chapter in their nostalgia, not a person worthy of present attention. On Thursday, Beezy texted. Beezy, ladies' night out. Tomorrow at Boogie Town. 8 p.m. You in? Amaka's thumb hovered. She took a deep breath and replied. Chinyu, definitely. See you there. Friday evening, she dressed carefully in a bold Ankara jumpsuit, declining the high heels and diamonds she once wore, preferring an authentic flair. She left Grandma's before 7:30 p.m., heart fluttering with cautious hope. At 8:15 p.m., she arrived at Boogie Town, pumping Afrobeat and lit by neon strobe lights. She asked the hostess for Beezy's table. The hostess checked her clipboard and frowned. Ma'am, there's no reservation under that name. Amaka's pulse skipped. Under Chinyu? The hostess shook her head. Perhaps Beezy can add you. Amaka texted Beezy. Chinyu, I'm here at Boogie Town. Where are you guys? Minutes passed. No reply. Her phone lit up with a flurry of stories from Beezy's best friend, showing them all dancing, no mention of her. They hadn't even thought to add her to the group chat or check if she arrived. She waited until 8:45. Then she tapped out another message. Chinyu, guess you forgot. No worries. She slipped out into the warm night, ignoring the curious glances from nightlife hopefuls. The street was crowded with traffic and hawkers calling Suya. Suya hot, but her mind was silent. She hailed a cab back to Grandma's, where the old bungalow's lights glowed like a lighthouse in her storm of disappointment. Grandma Chinyu handed her a glass of warm pap and wrapped her in a soft wrapper. What happened, child? Grandma asked. Amaka took a shuddering breath. They didn't even invite me. Grandma's eyes narrowed kindly. That's not an invitation, they never cared to begin with. Amaka let her tears fall. I thought, maybe this time. Grandma stroked her hair. Listen, child. True friends, the ones worth your tears, wouldn't need reminders. In the hush of her childhood home, Amaka felt something shift. The test was clear, her old circle had shown their true colors. But in their absence, other doors were opening, new connections with customers, artisans, and mentors who valued her talent and tenacity. As she lay in bed that night, the distant hum of Legos settling around her, Amaka whispered into the darkness, "Thank you." She closed her eyes, at peace with the knowledge that her real journey was only beginning, far beyond the cold shoulders and empty invitations of the past. The morning sun filtered weakly through the louvered windows of Grandma Chinyu's guest room, but Amaka didn't notice. She lay bundled under a thin blanket, forehead hot to the touch, every muscle aching. Her throat felt raw, each breath rasped. A basin of lukewarm water and a damp cloth sat on the small bedside table, unused. At 9 a.m., her phone buzzed. She fumbled for it and saw a message from Beezy. Beezy, hey, are we still on for lunch today at 1? Amaka's chest tightened. She hadn't eaten in 2 days, let alone had the energy to brave the world. But she tapped out a polite reply. Chinyu, I'm really not feeling well. Can we reschedule? No response. At 11 a.m., she called instead, voice hoarse, Beezy, it's me. On the other end, Beezy's voice crackled. Chinyu. I'm so sorry, you're sick? Amaka coughed. Fever. Headache. I need someone to check on me, bring medicine? Beezy hesitated. I have a conference call at noon. Can someone else? Amaka closed her eyes. Okay. She hung up, body trembling with disappointment. Grandma Chinyere bustled in with a tray. Here, child, Pap and Gary. And Auntie Funk sent some amoxicillin. She handed over a small plastic bag. Amaka managed a grateful smile. Thank you. By afternoon, the fever soared. She drifted between dozing and delirious dreams of her once glamorous life. Couture gowns, flashbulbs, endless applause, now faded to a distant echo. A soft knock came at 3 p.m. Grandma opened the door to admit a young nurse, whom Amaka had never met. You must be Amaka, the nurse said, checking her pulse. Your aunt asked me to stop by. Aunt who? Amaka mumbled. Aunt Funk, Grandma replied gently. She heard you were ill. As the nurse administered an injection and dispensed fever reducers, Amaka realized that friends who remembered her only as a brand ambassador of luxury hadn't lifted a finger when she needed them most. The sting of betrayal burned deeper than any fever. That night, as a cool breeze stirred the mosquito net, Amaka vowed silently, from now on, I lean on myself, and those who prove they care. A week later, in a dimly lit lounge behind a closed door upstairs at Tribal Tones Bar, Bizi, Ayabo, Tolu, Saad, and Kemi gathered around a round table. No phones were permitted, whispered conspiracies filled the air. Bizi, her eyes rimmed with fatigue, cleared her throat. Thank you all for coming, she began, voice tight. We need to talk about Chinyu. Ayabo tapped her acrylic nails against the table. She's changed. She's selling bags now, preaching empowerment. Tolu smirked. She thinks we owe her something. She expects us to attend her bazaars, give her money. Kemi adjusted her glasses. It's bad PR. She's posting videos accusing us of abandonment. My investors saw one and asked if I endorsed that Porman narrative. Saad stirred her drink. She's poisoning our social circle with pity stories. Bizi clasped her hands. What do we do? They glanced at one another. Ayabo spoke first, we ghost her. No calls, no messages, no invites. Eventually she'll move on. Tolu nodded solemnly. We can't let her drag us down. Kemi tapped out a message on her tablet, group chat dissolving, and erased all traces of Chinyu's number. They raised their glasses in a half-hearted toast to new beginnings, then dispersed one by one into the buzzing nightlife below. Upstairs, their betrayal hung heavy in the stale air. Meanwhile, across town in a modest flat, Mama Chinyere paced anxiously. She dialed the number she'd long ago saved under Amaka's new number. On the third ring, a groggy voice answered, Hello? Mama, it's BORRAH, your neighbor from back in Suralere. Amaka sat up, surprised. BORRAH! How are you? Just heard you're back and, well, I wanted to help. BORRAH's voice cracked. I sold some of my church jewelry, pearls and all, to buy fabrics. I know you love Ankara. Tears welled in Amaka's eyes. BORRAH, you shouldn't have. I insist. A pause. Also, I have a contact in an online marketplace, TikTok shop. They can feature your bags. I'll make introductions. Amaka's heart soared. After one stranger's kindness, she felt a flicker of hope. Thank you, she whispered. Days later, Mama Chinyere's living room overflowed with vibrant wax prints and a small sewing loom. The quiet hum of solidarity replaced the sting of her so-called friends' indifference. That evening, as Amaka and her grandmother threaded needles by lamplight, Amaka murmured, I forgot how powerful community can be. Grandma Chinyere patted her hand. Real friends show up, sometimes you have to look beyond old circles to find them. With new fabrics and fresh determination, Amaka launched NaijaRoots quietly on TikTok and Instagram. She filmed short clips under a rickety ceiling fan, close UPS of her hand-stitching seams, the rich texture of batik cloth, quick transitions showcasing each bag's unique pattern. No flashy filters, just raw, authentic Legos backdrop, peeling paint walls, children playing in the alley, the distant call of a roadside hawker. Her first video, From London to Lagos, Reinventing My Dream, showed her packing a single prototype bag, then hand-delivering it to Grandma's door. Caption, handmade in Lagos. Every stitch tells a story. She went offline, not expecting much. Within hours, comments poured in. Lagos Style Guru, this is fire fire. Fashion Nollywood, finally, real African design. Organic Mama, love how you show the real Lagos. Orders came in from strangers across Nigeria and from the diaspora in London and New York. Amaka found herself shipping packages with trembling excitement. She photographed each bag on a local model, tagging hashtag NaijaRoots and hashtag Made in Nigeria. Her phone chimed constantly. She turned off notifications at 2 a.m. to sleep, mind racing with ideas, a limited edition wedding clutch, collaborations with local painters, pop-up stalls in Abuja and Port Harcourt. By the end of the first week, she had sold out her initial stock. Her bank balance, once overdrawn, showed a small but meaningful surplus. 3 weeks passed, each day blurring into evenings spent under the yellow glow of a single bulb at Grandma's. Amaka's designs multiplied. She hired 2 seamstresses from the market, paying them fair wages. She reinvested every naira. On a Thursday morning, she filmed a short TikTok, slow pen across a neatly arranged display of handbags, then a close-up of her hands tying a bow on a package ready for dispatch. Text overlay, each bag ships within 24 hours. Thank you for supporting local. That afternoon, she received a direct message from a major Lagos lifestyle influencer, 10 Styles, I want to feature your story tomorrow. Her pulse raced. That evening at 9 p.m., she went live on Instagram alongside Tund, who held up one of her signature crossbody bags. Millions watched as he raved, these are not just accessories, they're art, heritage, authenticity. By midnight, her follower count had tripled. Orders flooded in, some prepaid in dollars. She lay in bed, eyes shining brighter than any designer gown she'd ever worn. Meanwhile, in a glitzy rooftop lounge, Beezy's phone buzzed incessantly. A friend tagged her in a video, who is NaijaRoots? These bags are sold out everywhere. Beezy tapped the link with trembling fingers. The comments under Amaka's viral post piled up, where can I buy? Lizzie, get one. I'm shipping 2 to London. She looked around at her old crew, now sipping imported champagne in crystal flutes. Their laughter died on their lips as they watched the feed. Tolu's jaw dropped. Ayabo's eyes widened. Kemi hastily refreshed her stocks app. Saad turned pale. A heavy silence settled. On the cusp of her greatest triumph, Amaka lay in bed at Grandma's, feeling a soft buzz in her pocket. She checked her phone and saw the livestream with Tund had 2 million views. She pressed her hand to her heart, exhaling slowly. In that quiet moment, far removed from velvet ropes and empty invitations, she tasted the sweetest victory, proof that true success comes not from who greets you with fanfare, but who lifts you when you rise, and who stands still when you shine. A month after the viral TikTok and Instagram boost, Amaka stood behind a fluttering ribbon stretched across the modest storefront in Ikoyi. The iron gate, painted a cheerful coral, swung open onto a bright white interior dotted with splashes of Ankara fabric. A hand-painted sign above read NaijaRoots Boutique in gold script. Bola, her unexpected ally, pressed a pair of large scissors into Amaka's hand. Go on, princess, she whispered, eyes shining with pride. Amaka's heart thudded so hard she feared the sound would echo across the street. She raised the scissors, paused to look at the small crowd gathered, 2 local fashion bloggers clutching DSLRs, Mama Chinyere and a group of neighborhood grandmothers in colorful wrappers, Bola's church pastor in a crisp agbada, even a few curious onlookers who'd wandered in off the street. She inhaled deeply. Thank you all for coming, she began, her voice cracking slightly, then steadied as she looked at each familiar face. When I left for London, I had dreams of glamour, red carpets, flashing cameras, designer labels. But I learned that real dreams are stitched together by community, resilience, and the stories we carry in our hands. A hush fell. She cut the ribbon with a decisive snip, and the crowd burst into applause. Children darted inside, squealing at the colorful bags hung like jewels on sleek racks. Photographers snapped away. A local blogger streamed live on Instagram with the caption, #NaijaRoots grand opening, Legos fashion's new heart. Inside, Amaka moved from guest to guest, introducing each bag, the Surrealer sling with its bold geometric patterns, the Balagan tote featuring rich navy and burgundy hues, the Victoria Island clutch trimmed with cowrie shells. Each carried a tag with a short story, made by Ngozi, mother of 3, who learned to sew to feed her family, or inspired by the monsoon rains that baptized Lego streets. At one point, 10 Styles pushed through the crowd, grinning broadly. "You've outdone yourself," he said, snapping a photo. "This place, these bags, they're pure magic." Amaka thanked him, cheeks warmed by genuine praise. Outside, a line of customers snaked down the block. Word had traveled fast. For the first time since her return, she felt the exhilarating rush of success, anchored not in privilege, but in purpose. Yet in the back of her mind lingered the faces who had chosen indifference over loyalty. She made a silent vow, they would see this triumph, and recognize what they nearly lost. 2 weeks later, Amaka arranged a private showcase at a popular event space in Victoria Island. She sent elegant, hand-written invites to press, fashion editors, local celebrities, and, quietly, to her old circle under the pseudonym Chinyu. The invitation read, "You are cordially invited to the exclusive unveiling of NaijaRoots, the Legos collection. Saturday, 7 p.m. at the Indigo Loft. Reception to follow." Beezy's phone buzzed as she scrolled through her messages. She froze when she read the invite. She looked across the rooftop bar at Ayabo, who was tucking into canapes. "Hey," Beezy whispered, showing her the screen. "You know Chinyu?" Ayabo shrugged. "A girl who used to hang with us ages ago." She smirked. "Should be fun." Tolu glanced over from his networking circle. "Heard the bags are pretty dope." He tapped a name into his phone. "Let's swing by." Kemi and Saad received theirs too. The invite was anonymous enough to intrigue them. "A fashion event?" Saad teased her date. "At the Indigo? Must be high caliber." That evening, under a shimmering canopy of fairy lights, the Indigo Loft pulsed with Afrobeat rhythms. Models in sleek suits and flowing gowns bore Amaka's creations down a short runway lined with photographers. Each bag was paired with custom jewelry and headpieces made by local artisans. When the show ended, the lights dimmed. A single spotlight illuminated the entrance, and Amaka, back in her signature emerald dress but this time with a natural radiance, stepped forward. A hush fell as she removed her statement necklace and draped it over one of the display tables. "Thank you all for coming," she began, voice strong and clear. "Tonight isn't just about fashion, it's about identity. Each piece you saw is rooted in the spirit of Legos, its rhythms, its colors, its people. NaijaRoots isn't just my brand, it's our story." Cameras flashed. The press whispered excitedly. Then, louder than applause, a single voice cried out, "Chinyu?" Amaka smiled, lifting her chin. "Yes," she replied, eyes locking onto Beezy, Ayabo, Tolu, Saad, and Kemi standing in stunned silence at the back. "It's me, Amaka Okoye." A stunned hush swept through the crowd. Then the music faltered, and conversation froze. The 5 friends exchanged shocked glances, faces drained of color under the loft's bright lights. After the show, the press swarmed Amaka with questions. What inspired this collection? How did you gather these artisans? But at the edge of the throng stood her old friends, rooted to the spot. Beezy finally broke away and approached her, voice trembling. "Amaka, we didn't recognize you." Amaka folded her arms, gaze steady. "I didn't introduce myself as Amaka. I wanted you to see me, not the London Queen, not the charity case, but the woman I am today." Ayabo's voice cracked. "We thought you sold out, then disappeared." Tolu stepped forward. "We thought you were above us." We. You thought wrong, Amaka cut in gently. She took a step closer, heart pounding. When I came back as Chinyu, I offered friendship. You shunned me, judged me, excluded me, without knowing who I'd become. Sada's eyes welled. I'm sorry, Amaka. We acted like we missed the old times but didn't care about your journey. Kemi swallowed. When you needed us, when you were sick, when you needed a loan, you were alone. That hurt. Amaka's shoulders softened. I needed to know whose hands would lift me when I fell, and whose hearts would remain closed. I found my answer. She glanced at the boutique's PR manager stepping forward with cocktails. My success isn't built on your approval, it's built on the sweat of Lagos artisans and the support of unexpected allies. In the hush, Beezy extended a hand. Please forgive me. Amaka studied her friend, the memories of their schoolyard laughter flooding back. After a moment, she nodded and accepted the handshake. I forgive you. But friendship must be more than nostalgia, it must be present, honest, and reciprocal. Word of the unveiling and the onstage reveal spread like wildfire. Clips of Amaka's Chinyu moment exploded across TikTok, Instagram Reels, and Twitter threads. Headlines read: Fashion entrepreneur shocks Lagos, Chinyu was London queen all along. Amaka Okoye's epic return, from social outcast to style icon. Major media outlets flew in for interviews. CNN Africa ran a feature, NaijaRoots, How One Woman Rekindled Authenticity in Nigerian Fashion. Vogue's online edition wrote an in-depth profile, Amaka Okoye's Lagos Renaissance. Back in Lagos, a line formed outside NaijaRoots boutique every morning. Celebrities queued for limited edition pieces, boutiques in Accra and Abuja placed wholesale orders, diaspora communities across the UK and US pre-ordered online. Amaka's phone buzzed non-stop. Feature on Bloomberg from her business development officer. Invitation to Milan Fashion Week from an Italian designer she'd once met. TEDx Lagos from the event organizers. Amaka leaned back in her office chair at Grandma's house, eyes shining with elation as Grandma Chinyere bustled in with hot akara and pap. Child, you've done well. Amaka nodded, tears of gratitude pricking her eyes. Yes, Mama. She picked up her phone to scroll through messages from new collaborators, then paused when she saw a 5-star review from BORRAH, proud of you, my sister. She smiled broadly. In that moment, surrounded by the genuine warmth of those who had lifted her, she felt whole. 6 months later, Amaka stood on the balcony of her new penthouse overlooking Victoria Island's glittering skyline. The sun dipped low, painting the lagoon in hues of gold and purple. Behind her, the walls bore framed covers of magazines that once seemed like unreachable dreams. Below, NaijaRoots' flagship boutique thrummed with activity. She sipped ginger tea, mind drifting through the journey she'd traveled, the glamour of London, the sting of betrayal, the fires of reinvention, and the triumph forged through community. Her phone buzzed with a message from Beezy. Beezy, Chinyu? Can we talk? I miss my friend. Amaka hesitated, then typed. Amaka, I'm here. Always. She closed her eyes and exhaled. The woman who returned home broke was gone. In her place stood Amaka Okoye, entrepreneur, storyteller, and architect of her own destiny, rooted firmly in the earth of Lagos, yet soaring high on wings of resilience. Below, the city lights blinked on, mirroring the stars above. And in that alignment of earth and sky, Amaka felt the full circle of her journey and the boundless horizon that lay ahead. The end.